White Sox. Bring on the Bo Sox. Bring on the Brewers, the Rangers, and the Yankees too. We'll beat the Indians. We'll beat the Tigers. We'll beat the A's so bad. Gonna make Billy blue. What do you want? Let's play ball. Okay, Blue Jays. Let's play ball. Okay, Blue Jays. Let's play ball.
Welcome, Blue Jay fans. Welcome to another edition of Talking Jays. I am your host, George Long, and Blue Jays are adding another piece, hopefully, to their postseason roster. And this guy has some postseason experience. We'll talk a little later about his postseason experience. But right now, as everybody knows, I'm talking about Marcus Semien, the new addition to the Toronto Blue Jays. So we're going to talk about what he brings to the Blue Jays on both sides of the ball, both offense and defense. And all those little intangibles that I'm a huge component of those intangibles. So let's take a look at his defense. It looks like the Jays are going to slot him in at second base and possibly slide Biggio over to third. If not, Biggio will go to the outfield. If there's going to be some more rumors still out there. Blue Jays are going to move an outfielder that would slide Biggio to the outfield, and possibly they're going to maybe make another addition to the infield and bring in a guy to play third base, or they could leave Semien at second, slide Vladdy to play third, and then Tellez at first. Still slide Biggio to the outfield if they make that outfield change. So many things they can do. I know this is not the last of the deal from this move. There's going to be more moves to follow. Obviously, we're all talking about the pitching. The pitching. They still got to add quality starters yet. I know they signed Robbie Ray at the start of the offseason, 1 year, $8 million, I believe. So he's a nice piece. He's not the top of your rotation guy. If he gets back to where he used to be, 5 years ago, then top of the rotation. But it's not expected he's going to be a top of the rotation guy. I still love his stuff though. So we'll see what he brings. Again, they're still going to bring top of the rotation. I think that's the only guy they really added in the starter, unless you want to include Tyler Chatwood in that conversation. I still think he's going to be a bullpen guy, maybe a swingman every once in a while to give guys days off, things like that. And then they added Kirby Yates down at the back of the end of the back end of the bullpen. That's going to help tremendous. That's an under the radar kind of a signing they did. Jay fans are going to love this guy. He's going to know how to shut him down. So again. And then you talk about Springer's addition, what he brings. I'm going to talk about 2019. I talked about Kirby Yates' 2019 blockbuster season, led the league in 41 saves, monster season. 2019 for George Springer, monster season. I talked about that in my last podcast in 2019. And now we can talk about Marcus Semien. His 2019 season was third in the MVP voting, so he had a monster season. So they're bringing in three guys who had, not so distant success in 2019. We all heard 220, chalk that up as just a bad year. When you see Christian Ellis do what he did in 220 or 2020, sorry, then anybody really, if you shit the bed in 2020, then I'm okay with it. But I'd like to see what you did 3 seasons before that. And we're going to go over Semien's last 3 seasons, minus 220. Why am I saying 220? 2020. So defensively, he's not going to win you any Gold Gloves. He's solid. Hasn't played second base a whole lot. Started out his career, he played second base. So to me, if you can play short, you can play second base. So we're going to see that transition move. If it doesn't work out, then we slide him to third base, and then Biggio's back at second. So, because I know there are a few NL teams looking at him to play third base for them, they would have made the slide over to play third. I kind of like that myself, but we'll give them the benefit of the doubt. We'll take a look, see what spring training does. That's what spring training's all about. See where guys fit in, see how they're not fitting in, and make adjustments on the fly during spring training. Don't like this changing on the fly during the season. So, Blue Jays, man, you got to nail it down They do it so often, it just drives me crazy that you have so many spring training games. Nail down the jobs, the positions, all that in spring training. I know they like to move guys around, but you got to play some of your bulk at least on one position. You can't move constantly around. Unless you're a super utility guy. I don't like too many guys moving around. I'm okay with Biggio moving around. It seems like he can adjust, but you start moving around other guys and they just get lost, and then it's a waste of a season. So you got to nail it down during spring training. Nail those positions down. And hopefully, Semien is the guy that's going to play second base for him because he's a little, he's got that athletic, acrobatic body. With the shift now in place, playing shortstop, I'm sure he's been on the second base side. I saw a few video highlights of him making some nice diving plays on that side of the base. So I like him playing the start there, and that's the mindset. I like that mindset. But again, if it doesn't work out in spring training, man, you got to move him right away. So hopefully they do that. So again, guys just need to know the roles head into the season. It's that simple. So defensively, I think it's an upgrade from Biggio at second base. I really do feel that. I think he's a little more athletic, a little more, let me use the word acrobatic, getting down, getting dirty. He likes to get dirty. There's not many, if you watch Chapman with the over the number of years that he's played with Oakland, he's watched Chapman on his right-hand side getting dirty all the time. So Semien gets dirty, which I like guys that can get dirty. I want to see those uniforms filthy at the end of a ball game, and he gets dirty. So that's what I like about this guy defensively. Offensively, we'll slow back a bit before the bat, but running the bases. This guy learned from the Oakland the last 5-6 seasons that he's been there. They are sticklers on running the bases, and we all know how barbaric the base running for the Blue Jays was last year. It was like one bad base running after another every single game. I said in an earlier podcast, every single game there was bad base running. This guy knows how to run the bases, so that's a plus. This guy knows when to run, when not to run. And, he's not a great base stealer. He's not going to steal you bases. I'm not saying that. I'm saying running the bases running the bases properly is so underrated in any type of baseball game. So this guy knows how to run the bases, which is a plus. Offensively, we all know what he did in 2019. I talked about it a little earlier there. Just monster season, finished third in the MVP votes. I don't think that's who this guy is. I'm going to go over a few numbers and kind of bring it down a bit on where I think he could settle in. He's going into his 30-year-old season, so he's not old and he's not young. He's right. He's right there for a nice 1-year sign. I've said it before. We'll pump this up here. 1 year, 18 mil, a little high on the AAV, but hey, the Blue Jays have some money to spend. I've said it before, and I'll say it 1,000 times after this. No such thing as a bad 1-year deal. So this guy comes in. He's going to sign for 1 year. Let's see how it goes. He had a monster in 2019. 220 wasn't so great. He had a great playoffs in 220, and I'll talk about those numbers too. But 220 not so great. I'm gonna kind of put him in the same boat as Marcell Ozuna last year. Marcell in 2019 didn't have a great season, so he signed a 1-year deal with the Atlanta Braves for $18 million. Coincidentally, $18 million, same amount that Semien signed for. So again, 1-year deals. Guys are so motivated to have big seasons. They put all their effort. They should always put their effort in anyways, but there's a little more push that he was going to try and have a monster year. So same thing with Robbie Ray, 1-year deal. That's why I'm hoping Tanner Roark can bounce back. I know he signed 2-year last year, but let's just say technically he's got a 1-year deal left now with $11 million. So he's going to be looking for a contract next year. So hopefully he can bounce back and have a good year. Love guys on their last year of contracts. They're going to have big seasons. So that's what I'm hoping for Semien is that, we're going over some projections on where he would finish. Hopefully he goes a little higher, but some of these projections are pretty good. So we're okay with that. So let's take a look at Semien's last 4 years, minus the 220. So I went 16, 17, 18, and 19. So if you take a look, Let's take a look at the average. Average 550 plate at bat. So the one good thing, and he averages 141 games a season. So I've talked about this before. You cannot help a team if you're up in the press box injured all the time, like Stanton and Judge and those guys over New York. So this guy stays on the field, which is what you need. Same with Springer. Springer stays healthy and on the field. You guys can't help you when they're not playing, so it's that simple. Averages 142 hits a season, 31 doubles, not too shabby at all. I know Oakland's more of a doubles alley and stuff like that, a little bigger field. If you can get 40 doubles a season, that'd be awesome. So he's at 31 doubles, 69 ribbies. He's not an RBI guy, so we're okay with there. Averages 12 stolen bases, so I know he's not a big stolen base guy, but again, runs the bases really well. Strikes out a little high, 114, averaging the last 4 years. He's over 100 strikeouts. That's one of the downfalls that I found about Semien. But if he knocks in, if he knocks in an average of 25 home runs, you can live at those 100 strikeouts. So I know, and same thing with Springer. Springer strikes out over 100 times a season too, but he can get up over 25 homers. So you'll take that production with as long as the production is there with the power numbers, you can live with those strikeouts. It's the guys that strike out and don't drive in runs or don't hit for power, don't hit for slugging. That's the guys that you got to worry about. So the last 4 years, take a look. One spot below there, 258 batting average and a 330 OPP. So I like my guys at 350. I think that kind of goes with the strikeouts along that. So if he cuts the strikeouts down, he can build that on-base percentage. So we'll take a look during the season, see where he finishes this. 330 is still respectable. Slugs 442, so with an OPS of 772. So I like it. And take a look at his OPS plus the last 4 years. 100's being average ball player. You take a look at that. So he's 10% better than the average ball player. So, and plus, let's take this in consideration, guys. He is going to be a second baseman. So that's great production from a second base spot. So if you take a look, nothing else really matters there. Sac flies, hit by pitches, yeah. So not bad numbers over the last 4 years. These are 4 years combined with their average. So not bad. So let's take a look at what StatCast has him projected for this season. So his 2021 projections going into his age 30 season, still a youngster. He's projected to hit 20 homers. What's he done the last 4 seasons? When you take a look at his average, average 21 homers. So he's right there. He's going to be around his average, 20 to 25 homers. You're not going to expect big 30 power numbers. If you do, great. If not, we're okay with that. 28 doubles. That seems a little lower than normal. His average is 31 was it? 31 doubles. So they got his doubles down a little bit. I think those numbers could go up. And 67 ribbies. Again, over the last 4 years, he averaged 69 ribbies. So he's right around his average. That's why I'm saying this guy, his 2019, I think that's a little outcast of what he is. I think that's a little high to expect. I think this is basically who he is right here, what they have projected. Because what they have projected basically is what he's done over the last 4 years, minus the 2020 season. So, and if you take a look, batting average at 255 is projected for this year. His batting average over the last 4 years, batting average 258. So he's right there, 258, 255. So yeah, so he's projected OPP 335. Last 4 years he was at 330. So this is basically the guy that you're going to get. You're going to get that guy that's going to maybe strike out a bit, but give you some power numbers along the way. Hit you 25 home runs. Won't put up a lot of RBI totals, so you may see him down in the 6 or 7 spot in the batting order. But again, he just lengthens that lineup. He's a good quality player. Could play with the glove very, very well. Runs a base is excellent. A+ base runner. And can slug a bit too. So that's not bad at all. I really do like it. If we want to take a look at some of the second basemen in the league, I put together the top 10 in the league here. With number 1, Ozzie Albies, DJ LeMahieu. You can go back and forth who's 1, who's 2. But if I was looking at second baseman and looking what I want, these are the top 10 guys right here. So now you're going to move Cavan Biggio probably out of that spot because now he's not going to be a second baseman. So if you take a look at the next 11 to 15 second baseman, Mike Moustakas, Tommy Edman, Dylan Moore, Nick, and then Haesung. I think Semien, I put Semien ahead of these guys right here. So I don't think these guys are ahead of Semien as a second baseman. So, which means if you take Cavan Biggio out of that 7 hole, you have leaves 9 guys. That puts Semien as a top 10 second baseman in the league. If you can get a top 10 position anywheres on your team, that's what you try to build your squad. You want a top 10 player in every single position that you can do that. Center field, they got the number 2 best center fielder right now, I think. Number 1, I'm drawing. Mike Trout. How can you draw a blank who number 1 was? But Springer is your number 2 center fielder right now. They got a top 10 second baseman. Don't know where you want to put Lourdes Gurriel in left field. I think he's top 10 left fielders in the league. Teoscar, top 15 for sure. If he can muster what he did last season, then he's a top 10 guy. So you got to show it a bit. Again, he only did 1 year with it, so you got to put together some multiple years. Bo Bichette, where does he rank in your shortstops? He's not flashy, but on the stick, pretty darn good. So Vladdy, these guys, Bichette and Vladdy, when we talk about next season's off season, probably going to talk about these guys as top 10 players at their position. So again, Semien is a great addition to the ball team. No quarrels with his joining the squad because again, top 10 right now as a second baseman in the league. So if we take a look at the projected lineup, you're taking a look. I'm not saying this is in stone, but when you step on the field, day 1, April 1st, against the New York Yankees, you feel that you have a good shot with this lineup. You got number 1 leading off with George Springer, then Biggio, Bichette, Gurriel, Guerrero, Hernandez, Semien, Grichuk, Jensen. That's one heck of a long, stretched out lineup. And then you haven't talked about Tellez and Kirk. Now I talk about the one thing with Semien was the strikeouts, and again we can live with strikeouts if the slug-in's there. The one thing that scares me right now with the Blue Jays is they are right-handed heavy with the bats. Besides Biggio, every single player in that 9 right there is right-handed bat. And with Tellez and Kirk, both lefties, down below there. So I'm not saying they wouldn't be in the game to start. You can find Tellez is going to get in the line, no question. Grichuk is going to sit out games, so there's a DH spot. Guerrero is going to sit out a game or 2, so there's a first base spot for Tellez and Guerrero's out. If Bichette's having a day off, well then Semien would slide to short, or they can use the kid. I'm drawing a blank there that they got from the Boston Red Sox. Starts with S. Santiago, I believe it is. I can't remember, but he can come in the short. And then or like I said, Semien can slide to short, and you can move if you want. If there's experimental, Guerrero to third, and then Tellez opens up first base. So one of those outfielders has a day off. Let's say if they want to set Springer a game, well, Grichuk goes to center, Tellez gets in the center field. So, they don't have to move any of these guys. I think they will. I think that's the only way you're going to get an arm unless they're really putting their eggs into guys like Paxton. If they can sign Bauer, I don't think Bauer will come to Toronto, but if you can sign him, great. But there's no other really free agent pitchers out there. Odorizzi, maybe. I still think they're going for a 1/1A pitcher, and they're going to make a trade for him. Whether you keep hearing about Kyle Hendricks, great acquisition. I said that in my first podcast of the season. I believe he's a guy that I'd want to bring in. You bring in a Hendricks and a Paxton. That's 2 guys that were on my top 5. I did have Joe Musgrove as my number 1 guy to bring in because I didn't think he would cost you much, and it didn't cost the team much when they made the deal for him. So he was a guy that I wanted to bring in. It didn't cost much for Yu Darvish. There wasn't a lot of pieces going for him. So that was another guy that I wanted to come in those 5. So Musgrove and Darvish is off the board. And I had Paxton, bringing him in, and Hendricks. If you can make a trade for Hendricks and bring Paxton in, that would be superb off season for the Blue Jays. And then you don't have to make nothing else. You don't got to bring in a Chris Bryant to play third base or anything like that. You sign Paxton. I think it's a 50-50 thing. They're going to do that sign. And then make a trade for Kyle Hendricks, Freeland out in Colorado. Things like there's so many good starters out there that may be on the block. Luis Castillo. I don't think the Jays are going to want to give up the pieces for Castillo. If it's Groshans, yes. I just don't think they're going to want to give up those starting pitchers that they have. Manoah and Woods Richardson. I think with the Jays, knowing what they've done in the past with Cleveland, they're going to hang on to those pitchers. That's how they built the Cleveland back then. They're still building the same way. They're not going to move those arms, I don't think, for anybody, even for Castillo. But hey, you never know. But I think they're pretty much untouchable. So I think Groshans is going to. If his Groshans doesn't get dealt this year, he's getting dealt next offseason. I don't think he'll see a Blue Jay uniform with the MLB roster. I really don't. I think he's going this season or next offseason, especially with Austin Martin coming behind him. Martin is an untouchable. No chance in hell they're moving him. So that's what I'm thinking. They're going to be going with some of those arms. I think the next thing you're going to see, I don't know if you'll see a signing. You might see a Paxton signing, but you're going to wait for the trade for that pitcher because it's coming. I just don't know when, but they're making a deal for a pitcher, no question at all. So guys, thanks for listening. Well, hopefully something else happens. I'll jump on board, do another podcast if something happens. Keep it going, Jays. Keep adding to the team. Great signing with Semien. Threw me for a loop because it's a right-handed bat, and as it took 24 hours to settle with it and take a look at it. One thing I wanted to talk about was. Let's take a look here. This is what I want to talk about his postseason. I'm just going to pull up on the baseball reference here. Postseason batting. Why does it jump down there? I'm getting the internet out here pretty good. This is good without me doing but not the best either. I should have did a slide for this and I didn't. Now it's taking me time to find it. Standard feeling. I thought the playoffs was postseason batting. There we go. So he has, take a look here, 35 at-bats in the postseason in his 3 years. So he's played in 4 series. Last year, 220. Batting average, 533. Not too shabby at all. Slugged for 733. So last year, in 4 games with Oakland against Houston, he had an OPS of 1.344. Slugged the crap out of the ball. So monster playoff season. And again, like I said, playoff experiences. 2018, he had a 333 batting average. So he's got experience. 40 plate appearances in the playoffs. Not too shabby. Recent playoff experience too. 18, 19, and 20. So the last 3 years in the playoffs. Performs in the playoffs. George Springer performs in the playoffs. So again, superb. Got acquisitions. This is what I talked about before. Build your team for when you get to the postseason, and that's what they're doing. Kirby Yates, great signing. Springer, Semien. So, who else are we going to bring in that's hopefully going to be built for the playoffs? So with some playoff experience. So again, guys, thanks. I'll tune her out right now. 25 minutes. That's long enough, I guess. It's hard to keep anybody's attention span for that long. So thanks for listening. We'll jump on board if anything else happens. All right. I'll talk to you there now. Bye-bye.